Welcome to the Real Estate 401k Show. Here are your hosts, Ryan Gerdes, Mike Weinstein, and Justin Frederick, helping you build a legacy of wealth through real estate. Powered by the Recon Group at West USA and the Frederick team with Fairway Mortgage. NMLS number 625918.
All right, gentlemen, and I use the term very, very loosely. Need a little grace from you guys. I know we've kind of got a standing rule. I'm not allowed to read anything while behind the microphone because it gets us. We're just going to apologize ahead of time.
Don't apologize if you're still going to do it.
You can't pull this off.
You can't apologize and be like, I'm going to do it anyhow. You have to apologize after.
No, I feel like I need to apologize before and after on this. That's why I always said, sometimes we pray before dinner, right? And just ask the Lord to bless the food, make sure we don't get sick and all that stuff. But when my wife cooks, I feel like we got to pray twice. And then we got to pray afterwards because anyway, so as real estate wealth managers, we help so many investors from around the country on a day-to-day basis of investing in Arizona real estate. And one of the markets that we focus and we help so many of our investors get into is the short-term rental market, Airbnb, VRBO, and such. And so we've seen over the years, Ryan, some of the craziest things listed on Airbnb.
I think risky stuff sells, man. I think that the more unique or sassy or whatever crazy word you want to throw in there, people are looking for that, and they're kind of sick and tired of the, I'm going to go over to the Hilton brand, so I'm going to get kind of the cookie cutter stuff. Not that they do a bad job. I mean, they can say, all right, well, I know what I'm getting myself into. I know that I'm going to enjoy the restaurant or whatever they have on site, but it's nothing unique. There's nothing that's really jumping out. So
well, I have something that jumped out.
Okay.
Caught my attention, and I am seriously thinking about. I think that we ought to do a boys' trip and do this. This would be amazing. But the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, they are a AA professional baseball team, obviously out of Pensacola, Florida. You now on Airbnb, they have the entire stadium listed on Airbnb. So you can rent out the entire stadium for $5,143 per night. It includes 2 queen beds, 4 bunk beds. You can also use the batting cages. You can go into the clubhouse. You can have their team come in and bring in food and so forth for additional costs. Dude, as a baseball player
I would
myself,
do that.
Right.
I mean, seriously, how cool is this?
I would bring all my buddies, play some wiffle ball out there, maybe some baseball.
Wiffle ball, even better.
No, dude, beer baseball, dude.
And there's a food and beverage package in there that you can get. Yeah. And
So-
turn the lights on, play all night, tournament.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, if you go this weekend, you might be sharing it with about 5,000 different homeless people and refugees from the hurricane coming through.
It's probably pretty cheap this weekend. It's probably not $5,000 this weekend.
So the stadium was built in 2012, 5,000 seats. I think, though, here's what we do when we do this. We have some sort of competition ahead of time, okay? And the loser of this competition, while the rest of us are playing wiffle ball, ladder ball, taking BP, doing all of this stuff, has to walk around the entire stadium and sit in every single seat.
1, 2, 3, not it.
Not it. That's terrible.
But I remember.
Terrible.
So most people won't recognize the name The Bob. But when the Diamondbacks first formed out here in the great state of Arizona, it was Banquet Ballpark, and we called it The Bob. And I remember, I don't know the name of this person. It was so long ago, but that was one of the stunts that this person did before the stadium actually opened. They sat in every single seat at The Bob.
No.
How long did that take? It had to take days.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I don't know.
So the little offshoot story here. Must have been about 10 years ago. My buddy who calls me up, he did a bunch of the catering for the Diamondbacks, and so they were going to do the ultimate Father's Day experience over at I think it was the Gila River. I don't know. They change the name all the time out there. It's the minor league stadium over there in Scottsdale, and
One of 8.
yeah, right. And they had a helicopter. They had 3 race cars. They had a golf simulator, full open bar buffet, and then batting cages and batting practice, and then a handful of different baseball players. And we went out there, and you got to go on as many helicopter rides as you wanted to. You get to get in a race car, and they have one of the professional racers drive you through the course, which made me sick. I was like, I could probably do it if I was the one racing, but when you're riding shotgun, you get thrown all over the place. That wasn't for me. But they put you in some pretty badass race cars, and then this guy that was the pilot for the helicopter. I mean, he's like doing stalls and doing a bunch of different formation, or whatever the hell, whatever type of maneuvers they were doing. It was crazy. Must have done that about a dozen times. And then going over there hitting BP. It was one of the most memorable experiences I've ever had.
Well, my good ideas don't stop coming. I
Okay.
think we do a 2-night event at this ballpark in Pensacola, Florida. Go Wahoos. And I say that
I'm a fan now. Yeah.
sponsored by the Frederick team at Fairway Independent Mortgage.
Yeah. That or reach out to the Savannah Bananas and see if we can. Have you watched them?
No.
Do you know who? You don't
No,
know
I
who
don't
the
know.
Savannah
Please.
Bananas?
It's-
Oh my
it's-
God!
it sounds like
so
a-
Savannah, Georgia. They're kind of like the Globetrotters of baseball. They go out and they have all this entertainment, and so when they walk on, they're doing like a song and dance, or they're doing some type of fun stuff, or they'll have 3 pitchers on the mound, and you never know who has the ball. So they'll all 3 act like they're pitching at the same time, and you have to make a decision. And they even have the ump over there dancing around. Oh, dude. Yeah, you got to
Entertaining
YouTube
baseball.
or Google, whatever platform, Savannah Bananas, you're going to love it. That's what we need to do. We need to get them. And then, all of our Air Force guys, because there's a base right there at Pensacola that a bunch of them that have rotated in and out of Pensacola, get all of them involved. That would be pretty kick-ass, dude.
Sponsored by the Frederick team at Fairway Independent Mortgage.
We're going to need 2021 to come back.
All right, so let's try to bring a little bit of substance. Let's
right.
talk short-term rentals. Let's talk
All
about Airbnbs, VRBOs. I have talked to a lot of people that tried to cash in on the Super Bowl, and we just saw this saturation of Airbnbs coming on the market for Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, I just talked to a new client of ours last week. Didn't even have her place rented for the Super Bowl. Where is Ryan? And and in full disclosure, we own several Airbnbs, and you own some by yourself, and I own some by myself. Where is the Airbnb market going? Is this a something that our listeners and our investors that text the word short to 623AZ Recon, that's short to 623AZ Recon, is it something we should still be looking at?
No. And I'll tell you why. We still have not seen attrition with all that 600% increase in 18 months prior to the Super Bowl. I think that you need to approach this like a business, and then that will give you a fighting chance in hell at being successful in it. But the thing that people just aren't realizing is that these things are ramp-ups. You don't get to walk into the short-term rental industry with 500 reviews and five-star ratings, because that's how consumers are consuming there. They most of the time when they're coming here, they're like, well, okay, I've heard of Scottsdale, or I might have heard of Tempe. Of course, they've heard of Phoenix, but they don't know what's a good part, what's a bad part. So what they're going to do?
Yuma and Tucson.
They're going to go, yeah, they're going to go, they're going to go straight to the reviews, and if the reviews aren't raving, they're going to go to the next one that does. And so those ones have been around for a minimum of 18 months. So the people that came here for the Super Bowl and decided, oh, I'll rent out my basement or whatever, for 3 nights, and they've never even done it before, they've really muddied the waters, because even during the Super Bowl, we never saw bad reviews, refunds, complaints go as high as they did, because these weren't professional investors that were looking at this as a hospitality vehicle, because that's what you're doing. You're not just investing in real estate.
Yeah.
You're opening up a hospitality business. And so you need to replicate what you see when you go to a nice resort. If you're charging $600-700 a night, you want to make sure that when you get there, you have beds turned down, the home is nice and clean, and the things that are stocked are supposed to be stocked are well stocked, and just everything is in place. Or they're going to go to a hotel, or they're going to give you a shitty review. And so I say no, because most people are wanting to just buy something that they just think of as mailbox money. Now, if you are into putting some elbow grease, learning, being involved, or hiring a company to manage it for you that is already in that space and does well with it, then okay, yeah, let's take a look at it. I really feel that the place that they need to be looking at is more midterm rentals.
Yeah, and I was going to get into it. So I was going to give you a little bit of pushback, but you redeemed yourself. For me, it's not a hard no, because we've had some clients who in the last 3 or 4 months purchased some short-term rentals from, through us. It's always down to the numbers. I mean, it's what is the acquisition cost, and what are you getting the house for, and are we buying a house that's already fully furnished? I think there's a lot more factors. But I think, and I agree with you, and this is why I'm going to forgive you. You've redeemed yourself.
Oh, you're going to forgive me?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Is I think this is a opportunistic time to get into a short-term type property with the intent of going midterm, or going, the midterm, 30 plus days. The moment that you and I pivoted on our Airbnbs and got on Furnish Finders and got on those other things, I'm now, we're having people in there for, I had one lady in one of mine for 90 days. Mm-hmm. Oh man, it's fantastic. And so then you focus on that, you do a lot of that. It takes a lot of the stress away. And I do think there comes a time where a lot of the Airbnb homeowners are they're selling right now. And that provides a whole different opportunity for our podcast listeners, because there's a lot of homes out there that you can pick up, get a good deal on a home, and it comes fully furnished. And I know that we have a lot of podcast listeners that own short-term rentals. They're struggling right now. Text the word short to 623-AZ-RECON, and let's talk about this midterm strategy, because I don't know how you see it. I think it's an untapped market.
Well, so all the people that have purchased short-term rentals with us, they've gotten the same shtick from me as I just gave you just now. Like, hey, do not do this expecting that there's not going to be any work there. You're gonna have to either hire somebody and pay them well, or they're going to do a shitty job, or you're going to have to go in there and manually do it. And like our most recent one, I mean, they flew out from Hawaii. They bought a property here, flew out from Hawaii, spent a couple of weeks out there, and got it furnished, put a lot of TLC into it.
And it's great. It's fantastic.
They had a great theme. They had a great concept. They really didn't. There wasn't anything that they didn't do, and still they're going to see a slow start, as everyone in the short-term rental industry does, particularly if you're entering in during the summer. But as bad as that may be here in the greater Phoenix area, it's best time to do it, because you want to have a couple of reviews where you can have a couple of people go in there and give you some constructive criticism, to where you're not turning over every third day, and if you forgot to install something, or you forgot to bring something over, well, then you might only have a few hour window to take care of it, and that's usually not enough. But if you allow yourself for a little bit of that slow start, understand that it's a ramp-up business, and you have the capital behind you to make sure that you can weather that 18-month storm max, where you start having those reviews and you start having those day-to-day turnovers. Then this is the model for you.
You know who my number one short-term rental client is?
What's that?
Justin. Every time he gets into the doghouse with Sabrina, he's calling me up, man. He goes, "Is
an
your
easy place to stay."
your Airbnb available?"
That's why you got so many reviews from me.
And chances are he doesn't even make it into the room. He's passed out on the foyer.
He's passed out on the pool table.
I don't even make it in the front door.
Justin, let's wrap up. Financing. What does that look like as an investor? My sole intent is to buy a property and turn it into a short-term rental.
Well, the best part is you can do it as a second home as long as you don't live within the same area. Because as a second home, you only need to occupy it for 14 days out of the year. That's got to be your intent, and then you're able to rent it out. Now, there's not much benefit to a second home loan compared to an investment property other than the down payment. So interest rates are roughly the same now for investment properties in second homes. So if you're looking to get into it with a low amount of money down, you can get a second home for 10% down. If you want to put the 20% down, we're going to call it an investment property because we can use that rental income, and we're going to use long-term rental income to get you all set up for it. But second homes are actually pretty popular still. We're just seeing them more up north in the north country right now, just because it is hot down here. Mm-hmm. But I think you're right.
It is?
I think you're right, Ryan. Like, you got to get it done during the summer, get everything set up, and be ready to go for the season. And the season is just right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I got a $370,000 HELOC on my home right now. I haven't touched it, haven't used it. But I'm going to have to use it for? To remove trees and replace mature trees with the ones I got to remove because of this frickin' heat. I'm sitting there.
Did they all die?
I have a couple. I had 2 die, and I have a couple of my big ones that they're not.
They're struggling.
They're struggling. They're not. I have this one. I got these 2 trees that the planting area is not that big. So you couldn't get a 30-foot tree or a 20-foot tree and dig a big enough hole. So I got these 2 trees that, and it's the oddest thing, but they block the afternoon sun from my pool. It's just where they're located. And I can get into my pool right now at 2-3 o'clock and not have to worry about the sun, on my back, because just where the trees are. And so this one, half of it's dead. It's so bizarre. The other half looks like it's got life, but I'm like, just the expense to remove this, and then I have to remove the stump because you got to replace it, but I can't replace it with a tree the same size as its twin because I don't have the planting space.
Well, is the bottom half of the tree dead or the top half?
It's like a right and left thing.
Sounds like he needs an arborist.
Yeah. Sounds like you might have a dead tree, bro.
Well, the right side is gone. The left side still shows signs of life. And then I got a 20-foot queen palm that's like going bye-bye. I got a 10-foot tree that's just flipping me off every time I go out there because all the palms are folded down except for the middle one.
I don't know. I just chopped them all down when I bought the house, 12 years ago because, I don't know, trees were just a bane of my existence. And then, yeah.
All right, well, this is what happens when you drink bourbon. We lose sight of what we're trying to accomplish, but we are talking about short-term rentals. We're talking about strategies. If you own a short-term rental here in the great state of Arizona, and it doesn't matter where it's at, actually, but especially here in Arizona, and you're struggling and you're looking for strategies, or you're looking, how do I get into the game? How do I take advantage of opportunities? All you got to do is text the word short to 623-AZ-RECON. Again, text the word short to 623-AZ-RECON.
Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate 401k Show. If you want more information on how to build wealth, click on the link or text us at 623-297-3266. That's 623-AZ-RECON.